I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
We're just going to wait a second and see if everyone... See if everyone finds us again. So I'm going to see if I can find us again. If you're happening upon this, we had a scheduled live. We're discussing week 2 of the Ninth Circus. And we're just waiting for our friends to find us again. We're waiting to find ourselves again. I'm not even finding ourselves.
I got it.
There we go. Let us know when you're back in. So I'm just gonna... I had something to say. What was I saying when that happened?
We're just talking about like the magicians finally meeting each other.
Peggy's here. So, okay. We have Celia and we have Marco who were thrown into this without their consent, awareness, even understanding of what's going on, and they still don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We have Hector, Celia's dad, who's insistent that, you know, she does this on her own, and he's abused her whole life pretty much, and abused her mom, her mom's whole, Celia's whole life. Anyway, so there's that like element of control there. And even though this has been how Mr. AH and Hector have set this up, the kids, Marco and Celia, are insistent on how cool this is,
Right.
and they're going to do this together. We have these hints that this is not going to work out well for them working together, that it's going to be deadly by the end of it. But I love that they're just like, but look at how cool the circus is, and look at how cool our magic is when we join forces. Like, they're breaking the game without even knowing what the rules are.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we spent a lot of time last week just talking about how much we hated that they were alone. And I mean, like, Marco was like basically literally raised alone, you know, like had his own, like, his dad doesn't even come to his apartment or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
he had to do his like secret spell to get his dad there, and his dad's like, don't do that again.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then what's the girl's name?
Celia.
Celia had a lot more opportunity because she was like a performer, so she's like been out and like kind of seen people a little bit or whatever. While we're talking about it, you know, even the people that Marco knows, he's wearing a mask. He's like, he has like a magical illusion mask, and so like people don't know him.
Yeah.
And I think that's all very interesting, and I'm glad that they are kind of finding each other, and I think it's just gonna be heartbreaking because at some point they're gonna realize like, okay, we have to like actually do something.
I want them to be friends. I do not want them to be lovers. I was seeing reference to Spice Level Fourth Wing on the previous live that we had that broke. He is not a healthy individual. He is horrible to Isabel. You know, she just wants to help him and be close to him, and she loves him, and he is doing what he only knows how to do, and that's keep people far away from him.
Yeah.
And he even asked her, like, well, do you want to leave the circus? Which is his way of saying, like, please go. But he's just not brave enough to say, we shouldn't be together anymore. I don't want your help, even though I need it. Like, I don't like that. It's not healthy. It's not a good way to be. And he needs to work on that before he enters into another relationship, especially a spicy, magical one.
Yeah. I really like the way that Celia discovers that Marco is the magician. The whole like rain scene, and because that's when she's meeting Isabel, and she reads the cards for her and everything, and she accidentally grabs his umbrella, or like on purpose if he set it up or whatever.
Right.
But like what's clever about it is they're not supposed to like work together. They're not supposed to let each other know, and he very clearly lets her know on purpose this way. You know what I mean?
He's like, oh, I've been wanting to meet you. She's like, I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Well, and then the best part is that he like takes the umbrella back.
Yeah.
And she's just like wet now.
Yeah.
And so there's this element of like, I want to introduce myself to somebody who's like me. But to me, there's also this part where he doesn't really understand how to like interact with a lady. And like, okay, she's figured it out. It's his umbrella because he told her. He must be the other magician. He should let her keep the umbrella. but like he just takes it back and then tries to fit them both under there, and it doesn't work or whatever. But that was like a cute little scene. I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for Bailey and his portion of the story. He finally sees the night circus come back, and he goes to it again, and he's worried that it's not going to hold the same magic that it held when he was younger. And it does. It's better than he remembers. The cider he has there is the best cider he's ever had. He meets Widget and Poppet. Well, he has his cards read, and then he meets Widget and Poppet, and they have a wonderful evening together, which I think is cool. Like, Widget wasn't jealous that Poppet has a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Both Widget and Poppet are just like, yeah, this is our new friend, Bailey.
Well, so what's going on with this storyline? Like, what is that?
Bailey's going to be important to the circus.
Yeah.
It's in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the cards. I think it's interesting that Widget sees the past because he was born 6 minutes before midnight, and Poppet sees the future.
Mm-hmm.
She was born 7 minutes after.
Yeah. I like all those characters, and I'm like very interested in what's going on. It's just we've now spent like a lot of time with them, and I don't know why. You know.
Well, and we know that Poppet is seeing something very important in the star, something that's causing her physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
Peggy thinks Bailey will destroy it. I think Bailey is gonna help the circus. We see like a crack in the circus right now with the sister who was killed, and we see this element of danger showing up. We know something else happened when the bonfire was lit, and we're not sure what that is yet, but I think Bailey's gonna help bring some kind of order or peace to the circus, but just because he loves it so much. It would be a tragedy for him to love this place so much, to feel like he's home there, and to destroy it.
Yeah. But part of me that's what I want. You know, like we need the circus has to end because this game is going to end or something. You know, and we don't really know what that means. And so he might destroy it on accident, which might be like what everybody needs. You know, like I think I'm kind of hung up on this like everybody's stuck in time situation.
That is a good point. This is very much like Plato's cave. The people are in there and they're happy.
Yeah.
But they might only be happy because they don't realize they're trapped.
Yeah.
And that's kind of terrible.
How about the part? So, you know, I think Marco asks Celia, like, how do you move the circus? And she's like, it's a train. And he's like, no. And she says, well, it's a big train. And it's magical.
It's a magical train. You say, yeah, you took a train from London to Connecticut?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shelby says she doesn't understand the explanation of how Marco uses the cauldron to stay connected to the circus. He threw a copy of his journal in the cauldron before he lit it up. It's clearly not a visual connection. He can't see what's going on there. But it must be some kind of connection to like route some of his power there, or he can feel stuff from there. I don't know.
What's really interesting about this book and the magic in it is I really like fantasy books or whatever that explain how the magic works. And so a good example of this would be like Wheel of Time, where you have like they tie knots, and like, you know, there's still parts where you're like, what does that mean? How does that work? But like, okay, you have these different elements and you tie knots, and the knots make the magic. Like, whatever. Okay, I understand. And like in Harry Potter, you get less explanation than that, but you also understand, like, you say this word and you wave your wand a funny way, and then like the thing happens. Like, oh, okay, cool. And in this book, we get nothing. Like, absolutely no explanation of how this works, right? People concentrate real hard, and then things happen. And
I think it makes it better.
I think it makes it better too. And normally I think I would not
pick
like
apart.
it. Yeah, but there's something about, because it's how the magic works is not important, and like even the fact that it's magic at all is not important. You know, like I think it'd be a funny twist, and this won't happen. But what if at the end of the book we find out that neither of them is magic and it's all mechanical, and like these are illusions, but they've been illusions on them or something like that. You know, like that could happen. It won't, but everything that's happening is not like so totally outlandish, with the exception of like the tent where you can like jump up and down and all that craziness, like the
The cloud tent?
The cloud tent.
That was cool.
That was wild.
Shelby said she did not like that. Why, Shelby? You scared of heights?
Yeah.
No one wants to know how she didn't scream when she stabbed her hand.
I was
Fixed
actually
her
just about
hand.
to bring that part up about the hand stabbing thing, because it brings you back to at the very beginning of the book. Her dad kills her bird. You remember that?
Oh.
Like
he's
she has a
bring her
bird that
back.
she uses. Yeah, and then he's like, it's hard to fix living things, but she can heal herself. Mm-hmm. You know. Why don't you go sit, Angel?
Hi, Tweety Pie. Yeah, and so the fact
Yep.
that she could stab through her hand and not scream, I
Yeah.
think, is just a result of the amount of physical abuse that her dad subjected her to. Just even though all we know is that he would slice her fingertips
Yeah.
and make her heal them.
Yeah.
She has been numbed
Hey.
to physical pain. She can fix her hand because she knows how it feels, but not how others feel at work. Yeah, she said it's a matter of knowing how it feels from the inside and getting it back to that point, which is interesting. But you would think that she would be able to do that for somebody else. If you know how it feels for you, you know how it feels for someone else.
Maybe.
And she can do inanimate things.
Yeah.
And, oh, good point.
Yeah. And he
Marco
didn't even
thought that he was dead.
Yeah, well, Marco does. There's so many things that she says, and what's funny is like Marco has known for a significantly long time who she is, but doesn't know her secrets. And then she's like, "Oh yeah, my dad's not dead." He doesn't like follow up with like what? It was like nothing. He just lets it go.
She's like, I don't want to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that she's revealed something that might get her in trouble.
Yeah.
And because Daddy Hector has been spying on Marco.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he was still in Chandrash's library
Mm-hmm.
the last time she was at the midnight dinner. Yeah, who was A.H. talking to at the train station?
Yeah.
It described him. Oh, it was Hector.
Who's Hector?
Celia's dad. A.H. was talking to Hector because I think it described
Prospero.
him as kind of like disappearing.
Yeah.
Like he had a suit, but then it wasn't there. But it was Tara trying to see who he was talking to.
Right.
Yes, and we learned that Marco is a master of manipulating what somebody sees.
Right.
Which means that we can trust nothing now when Marco's around. Yeah. I don't like Marco. I don't trust him. I don't like the way he has his fake face and you can tell that there's like an emptiness there, like he isn't in the room. That's like it's like a manipulative person. You see that on people who are manipulative. You see their fake face.
But that's like literally what these people do, right? They are manipulation. They do manipulation.
Yes.
And they talk about it that
to
way.
entertain people.
No. Celia happens to because Prospero happens to, which is not normal. Right? Like at the very beginning when AH is talking to Prospero, he's like, this is kind of wild that you're doing this in front of everybody. And he's like, yeah, but it works.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Like the people that can do this are not supposed to be doing this. And
I just feel like it's too easy for Marco to use his powers for bad, for self-gain. Whereas Celia she takes joy in creating things that people can enjoy.
yeah.
Like her carousel with the angry animal staring at her dad. I love that.
I feel like we've gotten more, like just maybe more of a sympathetic view of Celia. Like we've seen her traveling around with her dad and not necessarily preparing for the game. And this has to do with the chat mentioned it earlier, like the differences in the way they were trained. We see her like experiencing things and just doing things, and then we just see Marco studying literally for this. Like Celia's been out there living her life and gaining experience and will therefore pass the test, where all Marco has been doing is preparing for the test, which is a different thing, and you feel like he's just been like getting ready for this, and like all he thinks about is this. But because of the way Celia has been trained, this is almost incidental. You know, like obviously this is the point, but there were other smaller points along the way, and Marco never has that.
Yeah. Marco's been more targeted. Celia's just been getting strong and talented.
Yeah.
But I just, you know, they're both. They've both been controlled, and they've both been denied like a childhood and normal human interaction. But we just see more beauty coming from it out of Celia than Marco. I don't know. Shelby also mentioned he's like stealing her things like a little kid, you know, to flirt. He kept her shawl.
But like, what's gonna happen when he starts like falling in love with Celia, or like assuming that hasn't happened already? What happens with Isabel? Like, he's kind of got somebody, kind of. I don't know.
Well, Isabel already knows it's up. I mean,
Yeah.
she knows. She's pulling the card, like the lover's card from the tarot, so she knows. Poor thing. Yeah, Chandras just thinks that he's in control and that he's created this awesome circus. He has no awareness that Marco is really the one making the circus what it is. Which is why he keeps like passing out and spilling his wine, and that's why he's like looking suspiciously at Marco all night.
Right.
After the wine spilled but then got caught in the cup. He knows that Marco's doing something to him.
Yeah.
Me too, Shelby. I want the main characters to have a reading. And we had the Stargazer. That's... Someone pointed out last week that the tents are named after tarot.
Yeah.
Hanging Man, the Stargazer. I think that one was also one. Yeah. So, okay, so we've read parts 1 and 2, but there's still like parts 3, 4, and 5 that we have to read this week.
Right.
There's a lot that's about to happen. So we're going to figure out like what's going to happen with Isabel and what's going to happen with Marco and their relationship. What's going to happen with Chandras is he's going to wise up to the fact that there's more going on in this circus than what he expected. And in that case, will he be removed? Is AH just going to let him go? We have most of the people in the circus aging very slowly, but the twins seem to be aging normally.
That's true. Yeah. But they're also like the only people that we know that are like truly magic, you know, to the point that Celia is training them. You have Isabel who like can do stuff, and there's reason to think that the contortionist can like do stuff, or they're at least like sensitive to these things, but they're not truly magical. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we need to also remember that Tara and her sister, just like Mr. Barris, are not in the circus. They're just like
Right.
funders and planners
Right.
of the circus. Well, Mr. Barris is more involved because he's the engineer, but, you know, she wasn't even really part of the circus. She was just part of the dinners.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the first conversation that Celia has with Barris. Or Marco has with Barris, where he's like, "Hey, are you making stuff for her?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Okay, don't tell her that I'm the...
And then he says, like, "Okay," and I'm like, "I don't know, man. I feel like you gave Marco a little more than you gave Celia."
Yeah,
right?
but
Like
you were working with Celia first.
right? Yeah, like you kind
Where's
of
your loyalty?
You kind of ratted her out.
Yes,
But,
because Marco is very manipulative.
yeah.
And he's not just creating manipulations
Yeah.
for wonder and enjoyment. He's doing it for self-gain.
But I think it's fun that Barris is like helping both of them. Like,
Yeah.
like if from Barris's perspective, as somebody who's like now aware that magic exists,
Yeah.
and you get to play with both of them, that sounds super cool, you know.
It's like being a squib in Harry Potter, but like not being bitter about it. Like I get to be magic adjacent and enjoy the world, even if I can't really do it all myself.
Yeah. Stop.
We have a licky dog. So yeah. I don't know that there are 3 more parts, but I think there are. But they're all quick.
At least one of them is very short. Yeah, it's like a chapter for that part.
They're real quick. Because I divided the book into equal amounts of reading, not equal heaviness of reading. We might have a lot to talk about next Sunday.
Yeah.
I know. You've been seeing on the Instagram. Atlas helps me find the caterpillars. Thank you, Atlas. Do you want to come up and see your friends? Or let your friends see you? You want to come here? No.
No. I'd do a circus with Atlas.
Yeah!
Any day. Yeah, I feel like so much has happened, but also like I don't know. I don't have a place to like steer it to, and so like with this reading, I just have like I thought this was cool, I thought this was cool, and I can like comment on things, but I still am having trouble like drawing the thread.
I mean, I thought with the chapter title Tete a Tete, I thought something physical. Some physical conflict was going to happen between Marco and Celia, and something physical did happen. They touched and a chandelier almost shattered, which was the fourth wing.
What does it mean, head to head?
Yeah. Fourth wing reference that y'all made. Oh, yeah. Those cinnamon rolls sounded amazing. And when were cinnamon rolls first, like, invented?
I do love like the
like
descriptions of food in books whenever it's done well. Oh my god, I've got
it's so loud. We can't even like hear ourselves. Yeah, we still don't know how the game ends or when it ends. And with this age thing going on, it could go on forever.
Yeah. Boy, wouldn't that be something? Like we show up in like 2200 and the circus is showing up in town and everybody's still there. That'd be crazy.
And that's sad. That's sad for Celia and sad for Marco.
Yeah. Part of me wants the game to like end with them just being like, we don't play anymore. And like and breaking this nonsense that their fathers are doing. The other part of me is concerned that what will happen is somebody will win, somebody will lose. Maybe they'll break because we have reason to think that AH and Prospero have like done this before, right? Or they've been involved in this. What if they have been contestants against each other? What if they decided not to play the game and to try to be friends or something? And what if because through doing that, they made it so that the game had to be played again, right? Like something is out of whack in the universe. There's some imbalance and this game must be played. And then part of me worries like, what if the future players are, like Poppet and the brother.
No!
And is that where we're going? Or what if Bailey becomes magical and it's Bailey and Poppet or something? And like, what if we're really setting up the next generation of game players in this whole like Bailey arc that we're seeing?
Oh, I hope not. Yeah, the bonfire doesn't even go out when the circus travels. It stays lit the whole time.
So we just finished Chaos on Netflix, which was fire. We should make an episode about it. But there's this whole part, like towards the end of it, where just like, prophecies are only true if you like make them to be true. And then even in like trying to avert their prophecy because of their belief in it, they sort of like make it happen. And that's like really what's happening here, is there are no rules except for like they've been told that this thing is going to happen, and so they are making it happen. But like, what if they just didn't? What happens? You don't know. I don't know. They don't know.
Widget told the story of Merlin to Poppet. Merlin was trapped in a tree because another witch was trying to share in his power, which is like where Hector's coming from. Like, don't let someone share your power. Don't collaborate. And Merlin became immortal, but he's still trapped in the tree.
Or something. I don't
And so we
remember
have that theme of like being trapped, but that being the cost for continuing to do the things that you want to do.
Well, and there's also the part of that story about how he gave some of his magic to somebody because, like, to the woman because she like tricked him a little bit. Like he trusted her, and like maybe he shouldn't have or something.
Kind of like Celia trusted Marco here.
Yeah.
I thought it was Merlin. It didn't have to be Merlin. Could be anybody. Yeah. And Widget reads the past on people, and they can hide it like Celia hid it from him when he could see her mother crying all the time. She hid it. But that's interesting. We definitely should think that Widget's story is important and is illustrating a theme of the book.
Yes.
So, power, entrapment, and not trusting people. Yeah, Widget does have boundaries. He's like, I try not to read people if they tell me, unless they tell me to.
Yeah.
The twins are so sweet.
Yeah, they are sweet.
Like, how do they end up being so good
Yeah.
without being properly raised, I guess?
Well, and like, if anything, they are the characters I feel like most are doing what they want. There's this line, in contrast to Bailey, where somebody wants Bailey, his grandmother wants him to go to school, his dad wants him to work on the farm. He has no idea what he wants to do. There's been talk in the circus of sending Widget and Poppet to boarding school, but they want to stay here.
Yeah.
And so they are allowed to stay here. And so of all the characters we have, they're the only ones who are really doing what they want. Even if it might be like naive to a degree. Who isn't? Whatever.
Right. That, like, I was thinking that too. Like, they are naive to a degree, but also so much more mature in other ways because they are only around other adults.
Yeah.
So they can't be overly silly or loud or getting into trouble because there's only each other.
Right.
And everyone else is grown up and they're working and they don't have time for that. Everyone at the circus is a chaperone at some point or another. You can't take off your chaperones, otherwise you're going to boarding school. So like they are a little more mature, I think, than Bailey.
Yeah.
In some respects. Yeah. Are they the same age as Bailey?
I think there's reason to think. I don't. Maybe so. But I kind of got the impression when he first goes to the circus that Poppet is a little older than he is.
I thought so too.
But
they're 16 now.
Yeah, and it's definitely just that she seems more mature.
And he's 19.
Is he? I don't know.
But I'm confused on the timelines. But yeah, because he's about to go to college or stay home.
Yeah, but I think when you go to college in like 1890, you're not 19.
I feel like they said he was 19. But
yeah, he might be.
I might have like misunderstood. Bailey's a year or two older, yeah. Yeah, this does feel very Neil Gaiman-y. I'm liking this so much more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. But I mean, here we are. Last week of reading. Week 3 is make or break.
Yeah.
In every book, right? Like you're either starting to see some weaknesses in the book and you're like, okay, they can really turn it around and they can really make this book a killer. And so far we've been, I think, disappointed by week 3 more than impressed by week 3. Man, someone was talking about eating octopus the other day, and I was like, let me tell you about this book I read. I don't know why that popped in my head right now. You know what? Peggy, that's a good point. Sometimes we like a book so much more
Yeah.
if we disliked the previous book. Just, your brain is just having whiplash or whatever. I really think this one's just good, though. It's just written so well. And like you were saying earlier, the food descriptions.
Yeah, I think the style is just well done. And y'all are right to say there's like a Neil Gaiman sort of style, but there's like the right amount of description in the right place, and I think that's just really awesome because so many people get hung up in description in like the wrong place about stuff I just don't care about and never will, and in a weird way, I think by making the circus black and white everywhere and in all cases, you get to you don't get bogged down on the descriptions of like what things look like. You get to describe how things feel, and I think that's really interesting, and so just for like a writing reason, I think making the circus black and white is like a good call because you take away all these things that are distracting about a circus and get to focus on the performance. Shelby says this is up there with the octopus book. It was a good book.
So is someone going to get trapped in the circus?
I don't know.
I don't know that we have any hints as to what happened the last time there was a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Except for AH saying, "Are you sure you want to risk your own child?"
I mean, like whatever they're fighting over must be worth it, right? Like if it's got to be worth it, because like nobody even knows these two dudes exist, like as magicians, that we know of. Who knows?
Yeah, where's the rest of the world? Their world.
I mean, they're out there somewhere. We have like a lot. We have a weird number of magical people like associated with this situation. They must be more normal than we think. Yeah, Shelby says it's time to read on and find out.
Okay.
Bye.
See you next week. Also, Jason has to pick a book.
I do have to pick a book for episode 100. How crazy is that? Yeah. I'll post something soon. We'll figure it out.
Had a betrayal, or is it an Atlas pick?
I don't know. Maybe both.
I think it is all about pride. I think it is something that's not important and not significant. Mm-hmm. It's just pride.
Yeah.
Gosh, and with Hector's focus on trying to become immortal, mm-hmm. and how he's like half killed himself and he's a ghost now. Like, how is all that going to play a role?
Yeah. I think I just want this to be cyclical. Like, I want this to be like this loop that happens in this sort of manipulation world. Like because you're messing with the way things work, you just kind of get stuck, and these other people get stuck, and we kind of have that with the circus, with everybody not aging, and we have that with like the parents putting off on their kids, sort of this fight, and that maybe in the future this will happen again, or something. I don't know, but
I think Hector and AH should get stuck in the circus.
Well, and with this focus on the past and the future and all that, and like what happens in the past is the future, and it just mm-hmm. goes and it goes and it goes. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for dealing with our technical problems. This is part 2 of week 2. You can go find part 1 if you really want to, but most of the substances in this one, so whatever.
That was weird.
Yeah. YouTube betrayed us. It's okay.
Betrays us every week.
Every week. All right.
Happy reading.
We're reading to the end of the book.
See you Sunday.
Bye.